You've probably heard this question before. Can I afford this? But wealthy people, they don't ask that. They ask, if I buy this, will it make my money grow? I remember working with one of my clients, Daniel, 38 years old in real estate. When he started coaching with me, he was drowning in credit card debt, always stressed out because no matter how much he earned, it was never enough. His income wasn't low, but his cash flow was a mess. So I asked Daniel one simple question. When was the last time you spent money on your future? He went silent. And that's when he realized most of his spending was about showing off, not growing up. The car, the phone, the designer clothes, all for image, not for income. Have you ever done the same? You get a little extra money and your first thought is, let me treat myself. I've earned it. Hey, that's human. But here's the truth. Consumer thinking is instinct. Investor thinking is a choice. Wealthy people aren't rich because they have more. They're rich because they think differently. To them, every dollar they spend is like hiring an employee. They ask, is this dollar working for me? Will it bring back more value, or is it gone in 5 seconds of dopamine? There's a study from Harvard Business Review that found people who can delay instant gratification and focus on long-term gains build up to 4 times more wealth than people with the same income. This isn't about IQ, it's about mindset. Imagine this. 2 people both earn $5,000 a month. One spends 80% on entertainment, takeout, and comfort, telling themselves, I deserve it. The other sets aside 20% for new skills, books, work tools, or investments. 5 years later, one is still stuck in the same place. The other has doubled their income. Now, I'm not saying you have to become a stock investor or buy a rental property tomorrow. All I'm saying is, start asking better questions. Next time you're about to buy something, pause for 5 seconds and ask, is this going to grow my money or just make it disappear? Because every spending decision is a mindset test, and the results of that test are shaping your financial future right now. Have you ever noticed this? Some people, the moment they speak, you feel like they're living on a higher level of life. They're not showing off. They're not trying to impress. But the way they speak, it's full of clarity, full of conviction, like the future they want is already on its way. I had a coaching client once. Her name was Lisa. On our very first session, she said something that stuck with me. I know I'm not good enough, but I'm trying. And I paused. I looked her in the eye and asked, Lisa, are you willing to change the way you speak about yourself? Because the words we use, they don't just describe the world we're living in. They shape the world we're about to live in. Language isn't just words. It's a tool for building reality. And wealthy people, they know that. They speak in ways that reflect what they're building, not what they're afraid of. They don't say, I'm not good enough to invest. They say, I'm learning how to invest smarter every week. They don't say, I don't know how to run a business. They say, I'm slowly figuring out how to build my own system. Can you feel the difference? Same truth, different language, but with a new emotion and a new direction. And that changes everything, because the brain, it believes whatever language you feed it. A study from Stanford University even found this. Positive self-narratives increase action taking, reduce anxiety, and lead to better decisions, especially around money. So I want to give you a simple challenge. Tomorrow, when you face something you're not good at, don't say, I can't. Instead, try saying, I'm on the journey of getting better every day. Because when you change your language, you reprogram your reality. You don't just talk differently, you live differently. And if you're building a wealthy future, speak like you believe you deserve it. Speak like someone who's leading their own life. Speak like an investor, planting seeds of confidence with every word. Because once your language shifts, your world will never be the same again. You know something? Your biggest asset isn't in your bank account. It's not in your house, your stocks, or even your crypto wallet. No, your greatest asset is right here in your mind. It's in the knowledge, the awareness, the mindset you build every single day. I remember a friend of mine, his name's Matt. He didn't come from a privileged background, grew up in a working class neighborhood where nobody ever talked about finances at the dinner table. But Matt had this one habit, and I truly believe it changed everything for him. He read one book a month, just one, about money, self-development, or mindset. Not in a rush, not to impress anyone, just consistently, like brushing his teeth. And you know what happened? 2 years later, while his friends were still drowning in debt and doubts, Matt had started building passive income from a small side project he built on his own. Nothing flashy, nothing overnight. He just knew more, understood deeper, and made better choices. Now maybe you're thinking, but I don't have time to read. Okay, I hear you. But let me ask you this instead. Are you already paying the price for what you don't know? Because every day you don't understand how to manage money. Every time you make a financial decision based on emotion instead of principle, every time you let fear or impulse drive your spending, you're already paying tuition for your lack of awareness. I once said this in a training. If you don't invest in your mind, you're investing in your risk. A good book, read at the right moment, can literally change the direction of your life. I've seen it hundreds of times, and I've lived it myself. You don't need to read 100 books a year. Just one, every month. Maybe it's The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, or anything that makes you stop and reflect. Highlight it. Write notes in the margins. Pause after each chapter and ask yourself, how can I use this in my life? Because knowledge, if it just sits in your head, stays asleep. But once you act on it, once you live what you've learned, it multiplies, just like real wealth. Look, you might lose money. You might miss out on an opportunity here and there. But the one thing no one can ever take away from you is the mindset you forged. That mindset will walk with you into every decision, every negotiation, every opportunity, even the ones most people don't even see. I want you to picture this with me for a second. You're driving down a long road. It's dark. No GPS. You don't know how much gas you have left. You're not even sure if you're going the right way. But you just keep driving, hoping you'll get there. Sound familiar? That's exactly how most people deal with money. They earn but don't track. They spend but have no idea where it all goes. They dream of financial freedom, but they don't have a roadmap. I remember asking one of my coaching students, "Do you know exactly how much you spent eating out last month?" She hesitated. Maybe $300? I pulled up her spending tracker. The real number? $742. She was shocked. But you know what happened next? She took back control. Just 3 months of consistent tracking, and she started saving 15% of her income for the first time in 7 years of working full time. Here's what wealthy people know, and I want you to remember this. You can't improve what you don't measure. You can't invest smartly if you don't even know what you have. You can't build wealth if your money is silently leaking every month. This isn't about becoming some financial perfectionist. Start simple. A notebook, an Excel sheet, a finance app. There are dozens. Each month, just ask yourself 4 questions. How much did I earn? Where did my money go? How much did I save? What did I invest in for my future? It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be honest. This isn't just money discipline. This is personal power. Because when you know exactly where every dollar goes, you're no longer reacting, you're commanding. You're not guessing, you're leading. Make money tracking as normal as brushing your teeth. No motivation needed, just consistency. Harvard once ran a study that showed people who track their spending regularly are 73% more likely to hit their financial goals. So here's my challenge for you this month. Take 15 minutes each week. Write down your real numbers. When you finally see your financial picture clearly, you'll be amazed by how much power you already have. Because financial freedom doesn't start when you earn more. It starts the moment you start looking at your money with intention. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever actually scheduled time just to think? Not to work, not to check your inbox, not to listen to another podcast. Just sit still and think deeply. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But after more than 15 years coaching entrepreneurs and high-level leaders, I've noticed something they all have in common. They make time to think. I once asked a millionaire client during a private coaching session, "What's been the biggest factor in your long-term success?" He smiled and said, "I schedule time to think strategically. Most people just react to life." That line never left me. In a world full of noise, focus has become a luxury. And those who carve out space for deep thought, They're not playing the same game as everyone else. They're designing the board. I had a client named Mark, senior manager in tech. Each week, I gave him one assignment. Spend 1 hour thinking about the most important question of your week. At first, he thought I was joking. Just think? That's it? But after 3 months, one decision he made during that thinking hour saved his company over $120,000, not by working more, but by thinking better. MIT once ran a study that found people who spend at least 30 minutes a week in uninterrupted thinking time make better strategic decisions, 3x more often. So I want you to try this. This week, pick one time slot. Turn off your phone. No social media. Just you, a cup of coffee, a notebook, and one powerful question like, what am I doing in my life that no longer serves me? Is there a problem I'm avoiding out of fear? If I keep living like this for 5 more years, will I be proud? These questions may not give you instant answers, but they unlock clarity, and that clarity leads to decisions that change everything. Because true wealth doesn't just come from doing more, it comes from thinking better. I know you're busy, so am I, but if you're too busy to think, maybe you're too busy to grow. Financial freedom isn't just about earning more. It starts when you create space to realign, revision, and re-strategize. So here's the truth. Schedule time to think, not because it's a luxury, but because it might be the smartest investment you can make in your future self. Have you ever noticed something strange? People love to say, I want to have more money. But when you ask them, how much is enough? By when? Suddenly, silence. I once asked a friend of mine, what's your financial goal? He replied, I just want to be comfortable, stable, not worry about money. Sounds nice, right? But that's not a goal. That's a vague wish, a foggy dream with no shape. A real goal is clear, specific, with a deadline. Something like, I will save $5,000 in the next 6 months. I will create a $600 per month income stream from my side hustle in 90 days. Now, do you see the difference? The moment you write down a number and a date, your brain starts working differently. You stop delaying. You start deciding. I once coached a client, 42 years old, average income. She desperately wanted financial independence. But you know where we started? Not with making more money. We started with clarity. Save $1,200 in 4 months for a new skill. Use that skill to increase income by $200 per month in the next 90 days. Begin investing in index funds with just $50 per month. And when she wrote those goals down with dates, something shifted. Her energy changed. Her actions sped up. Not because she got lucky, but because she had a clear destination. Harvard Business Review published a study that said, people who set specific goals with deadlines are 76% more likely to achieve them than those who only think about them. I want you to imagine this. You're driving a car, no GPS, no address, no estimated arrival time. You could drive for hours, days, and still be lost. That's how most people move toward financial freedom. Aimless, wandering, no map. You don't need to be perfect with money. You just need to be specific. Because here's the truth. Time doesn't wait for anyone, but those who set deadlines can pull time toward them. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I want to be rich, I want freedom, stop right there and ask yourself, how much? By when? Write it down, because that's how the wealthy think. Not vague, not someday, always with a number, always with a date. Let me ask you something. Have you ever blamed your boss, your schedule, your background for where you are in life? It's okay. Most of us have. I once heard someone say, my life's a mess because of my job, my boss, my unsupportive family. And I get that. It's so human to want to believe the problem is out there, that we're not the reason things aren't working. But here's the truth. Wealthy people know. As long as you blame something outside you, you give away your power to change it. I had a coaching client once. Brilliant guy, big dreams, but he was always exhausted, always overwhelmed. His favorite line was, I want to invest in myself, but I don't have time. So I asked him, do you not have time, or have you not made it a priority? He paused, and then he nodded. That was a turning point. You see, saying I don't have time is a convenient excuse. Saying I didn't manage my time well, now that is powerful. Truly wealthy people don't make excuses. They take 100% responsibility. Not to beat themselves up, but because they know, if I own it, I can change it. I remember losing $8,000 in a bad investment once. At first, I blamed the market, the misinformation, the timing. But that night, I sat down and wrote one sentence. I didn't do enough research. That one line changed how I invest, forever. Stanford ran a study that found people with high personal responsibility achieve twice as much as those who habitually blame, even when they start from the same place. Why? Because blaming might make you feel better temporarily, but taking ownership, that makes you stronger. So I want you to try something. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I can't, I don't have, they didn't let me, pause just for 3 seconds and reframe it. I haven't chosen to yet. I haven't learned that yet. I haven't made it a priority yet. Notice how your power shifts the moment your words shift. Remember this. Wealth isn't just about accumulating money. It's about accumulating ownership over your time, your choices, your energy. And ownership begins with this one quiet decision. I'm responsible. Not the economy, not your childhood, not your partner, you. The wealthy don't wait for others to change. They change themselves first. And that is the silent but unstoppable power of radical personal responsibility. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself this simple question? Is there something I do every day that could actually become an income stream? At first, it might sound like a crazy thought, but it's not. Wealthy people understand this deeply. A habit, nurtured the right way, can become an asset. Let me tell you a story. I once coached a woman, a stay-at-home mom. She had this quiet habit of writing in her journal every morning, not for the world, just for herself, to breathe, to release, to feel. One day I asked her, what if you compiled these entries into a small book? She laughed. Who would read this messy stuff? And I told her, people like you, people who want to feel seen in someone else's truth. 3 months later, she published a small ebook on Kindle. No big ads, no influencer push, just honest words from a real woman. And every month, a few dozen orders, enough to make her believe, maybe my ordinary is someone else's inspiration. You don't need to be an expert. You just need 3 things. A habit you already love doing, a way to share it with the right people, a little patience to let it grow. Let me give you examples. You journal, turn it into blog posts, daily quotes, a book. You read at night, share short reviews, start a YouTube channel. You track your budget, teach others how, create a simple course. I want you to imagine this. You repeat a positive action every day for 365 days. Now what if just 10% of those moments are shared and someone finds value in them and decides to pay for it? You've just planted the seed of a second income stream from something you were already doing. See, it's not about starting big. It's about starting consistently. Like planting a seed, you won't see results in week 1, but you still water it because you believe it will grow. That's how the wealthy think. They don't wait for capital. They start small. They repeat, they scale, and over time, their habits turn into profit. So today I want to leave you with this. If you're writing, reading, practicing, creating, every single day, don't dismiss it. Don't hide it. That might just be the income you've been searching for all along. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat still and your mind was actually clear? Not buzzing, not anxious, not drowning in noise, just still. Now I want you to imagine this. You're driving a car. The tank is full. The engine's strong. But outside, thick fog. You can barely see 5 feet ahead. You're not lost because of a broken engine. You're lost because of clouded vision. And that, my friend, is how most people are driving their financial life, full of potential but stuck in mental fog. Where does this fog come from? The morning news filled with fear. The social media drama, always urgent, always loud. The voices of people who don't live your life, but feel entitled to judge it. And before you know it, you start doubting yourself. You start shrinking your goals. You spend just to escape, not to build. You say maybe later instead of why not now. I once worked with a client, sharp guy, used to be full of ideas, but after a few failed ventures, he retreated into toxic Facebook groups, bitter comment threads, YouTube videos titled, "Everything's a Scam." One day I asked him, do you think wealthy people spend 2 hours a day scrolling through online drama? He paused, then smiled. Kinda sad? No. And you just woke me up. Because here's what wealthy people know. Your financial clarity depends on your mental clarity, and your mind is a garden. If you don't plant intentionally, weeds will take over. A Yale study found that just 10 minutes of daily exposure to negative media lowers your decision-making accuracy by 31% for the next 48 hours. Let that sink in. Every harmless scroll is costing you more than time. It's costing you your sharpness, your energy, your intuition. And in a world full of noise, your clearest asset is a quiet mind. So what do the wealthy do? They don't just manage money. They manage mental inputs. They design their space like a clean office. No noise, no junk, no drama. Because every financial decision starts here. I'm not saying disappear into a cave, but I am saying this. If you want wealthy thinking, you need a clean mental environment to grow it. Start simple. Turn off notifications that spike your anxiety. Unfollow accounts that drain your focus. Read more. Scroll less. Spend 10 minutes in silence every morning just to hear yourself again. Because here's the truth. Your biggest asset isn't your job, not your stock picks, not your income level. It's your inner clarity. And that begins the moment you start taking out the trash from your mind. I wish I had the money right now. You've said it before, haven't you? That moment when a dream deal, a course, an investment, or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity drops into your lap, but your wallet says not today. Wealth doesn't come to the lucky, it comes to the prepared. I had a student, smart, driven, well-connected. One day his friend called him. A cafe spot in a booming district just opened up. The owner's desperate. Half price. I need a partner, fast. His answer? Damn, I don't have the cash. Why? He wasn't broke, but his money was scattered. Vacations, gadgets, comfort purchases. No strategy, just spending. And the deal? Gone. Forever. That's when it hit him like a freight train. Opportunities don't knock. They whisper, only to the ones who are already ready. Enter the Opportunity Fund. This is not your emergency stash, not your rainy day jar. This is your Hell Yes Fund. It's the fund that makes you powerful when the right door opens. Imagine, a course you've waited months for drops 70% for 48 hours. A smart friend needs capital to launch a digital product. A startup opens early shares to private investors. Or a stock you know is undervalued dips for just a day. Most people panic, miss out, scroll past with regret. You smile because you planned for this. You say, I've been waiting for this moment. Here's what to do starting today. 1. Open a new account. Call it anything. Opportunity Fund, Yes Account, Future Power. 2. Fund it like it's sacred. Weekly, $5, $50 or more. No excuses. No emotional withdrawals. It's not for birthdays, Black Friday, or brunch. It's only for moves that multiply your future. Because here's the truth. You can't buy the future if you're always broke in the present. This isn't saving. This is strategic positioning. Wealthy people don't pray for luck. They build leverage in silence. And when the timing is right, they move fast. So when the next opportunity shows up, and it will, you won't say, I wish. You'll say, I'm ready. Comment below. What will you name your opportunity fund? Let's start building it today. Shift from consuming to creating, that's the wealth pivot. Let me drop this truth on you. Most people stay broke not because they don't work hard, but because they were trained to be consumers, not creators. From childhood, we're conditioned to buy the new shoes, upgrade the iPhone, swipe for dopamine, flex for approval. And every purchase? Gone. No return. Just a moment of feel good, then back to zero. But the wealthy, they flip the script. They build. They solve problems. They put things into the world that others pay for. I once asked a millionaire in his 40s, what's your real secret? His answer? I switched sides from buyer to builder. That sentence rewired my entire mindset. And it gets better. I had a single mom working as a cashier. Everyone told her to be realistic, but she could cook really well. Instead of spending her holiday bonus on a new bag like every other year, she bought an induction stove and plastic containers, started making lunchboxes for busy office workers nearby. No website, no ads, just value. 6 months in, she didn't need to chase discounts anymore. People chased her. Here's the shift. What can I buy next? What can I build, create, or offer next? Ask yourself, what do I already do that helps people? What knowledge or skill do I have that solves a real problem? What do people already ask me for advice on? That's the seed of your wealth. Maybe you're great at explaining things, start a digital course, always organizing events, offer planning services, always journaling insights, start a microblog or ebook. Don't underestimate what you do naturally. Your ordinary might be someone else's miracle. Try this exercise tonight. Instead of scrolling Shopee or TikTok, grab a notebook and write: 1. What skill habit do I have that others find valuable? 2. How can I turn it into something useful, visible, or sellable? 3. What's one small way I can test that tomorrow? Not because you're starting a business, but because you're rewiring your identity from consumer creator. Because here's what rich people know. They don't ask, how can I afford that? They ask, what can I create so others afford it for me? Your wealth doesn't start with a raise. It starts with a shift in identity. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to start thinking like a producer, not just a participant. Today's challenge: drop in the comments, what's one thing you're good at that could solve a problem for someone else? Because that is where the value begins. Develop at least one high-value skill every year, because new skills are the highest return investment you can make. Speaking, negotiating, sales, leadership, marketing, personal branding. Have you ever looked back at the past year and asked yourself, did I really get better at anything? I've been there. And honestly, the answer shook me. I realized I was just waiting for money to come in, but I wasn't actually increasing my value. Like hoping to sell an old car for the price of a supercar, it just doesn't work. But wealthy people, they do things differently. They don't just work harder, they become more valuable every year. They treat skills like assets. Every new skill is a lever to boost income. You know, some skills, if you learn them well just once, can pay you dividends for a lifetime. I had a student, Daniel, an engineer, great at his job, but his income barely moved for 6 years. I asked him, what new skill have you learned in the last 5 years? He laughed awkwardly. Probably none. I said, pick one communication skill, like persuasive presenting, and spend 30 minutes a day for 90 days. He agreed. 6 months later, Daniel wasn't the quiet engineer in the corner anymore. He got promoted to team leader, spoke confidently to executives, and earned a 40% raise, all because he learned to speak clearly and engage people. Some skills never go out of style and always get you paid well. Communication and compelling speaking, sales, strategic thinking, leadership, personal branding, personal finance management. Skills are the only investment that can't be stolen, don't depreciate, and don't depend on the economy. Warren Buffett said it best: the best investment you can make is in yourself. So what skill have you chosen to learn this year? If you haven't started yet, don't wait for a career storm to learn how to steer the ship. Every new skill is like digging a new gold mine inside yourself. You are the one who decides how valuable you can become. Start simple. Pick one skill you want to learn. Schedule 15 to 30 minutes a day. Set a goal to finish one course or one book in 30 days. After 12 months, that's 12 new skills, making you someone hard to replace. Remember, money doesn't come to those who just do more work. Money comes to those with higher value, and that value starts with the skills you choose to learn today. You can start at 0, no problem, but don't end the year as the same version of yourself you were at the start. Ready to upgrade your life with new skills? Drop a comment below. I choose to invest in myself, because no one gets rich without growing first. Hey, do you plan your finances? You know, how much you earn, how much you spend, what you save, how you invest. That's great. But have you ever taken time to plan your mindset? Because here's the truth. Your mindset controls your behavior. Your behavior creates your results. And if you don't upgrade your mindset as you grow, you'll keep running in the same old loops, getting the same old outcomes. I remember coaching a young CEO, Chris. His company's revenue stalled for 18 months. He worked crazy hard, tried all sorts of strategies, but nothing really broke through. So I asked him, when was the last time you asked yourself, what do I need to change in how I think to double my results? He looked at me, paused, and said, To be honest, I never did that. I just changed my actions, but never touched my core beliefs or mindset. And that's exactly the problem. Truly wealthy people get this. Money follows mindset. If you want to double your income, you have to double the clarity in your thinking first. They spend time, every quarter or every 6 months, remapping their mental maps. Not just by reading more books, but by asking themselves powerful core questions. Try these on for size. What beliefs are holding me back? Am I thinking like someone who makes $100K a year while dreaming of $1 million? If I had to double results without working extra hours, how would I need to think differently? See? It's not always about working faster. Sometimes shifting your thinking cuts years off your struggle. So here's what I always tell my clients. Schedule a mindset review every quarter. Just one evening on the weekend, a blank notebook, some quiet music. Sit down and write what you believe, what you're telling yourself. Then ask, what beliefs have expired? Who do I need to become to reach the next level? Wealthy people don't get rich by accident. They upgrade their mindset like updating software. And you can do it too. Start this week. Set up your own mindset afternoon. No meetings, no phone distractions. Just you and the future you want to create. Write down 3 beliefs you currently hold, then ask yourself, is this belief helping me or holding me back? Remember, money doesn't come to the hardest worker. Money comes to the sharpest thinker. And you can choose to upgrade yourself right now. No permission needed. If this video hit home for you, drop a comment. I will plan my mindset, because every new life begins with a new way of thinking. Wealth doesn't come from a high income. It comes from how clear-headed you are with your financial decisions. Someone earning $1,300 a month but investing smartly and avoiding debt traps can be wealthier than someone making $13,000 but living on autopilot. Let me paint you a picture. 2 men, both 35 years old. One earns $1,300 a month, lives consciously, tracks his expenses, invests consistently, and steers clear of bad debt. The other pulls in 10 times that, $13,000 a month, but spends reflexively, never tracks cash flow, and lets emotions control his wallet. 10 years later, who do you think will be richer? Most people guess the high earner, but sadly, they're often wrong. The truth is, money itself doesn't decide your wealth. Your financial mindset determines how much you keep and how you grow it. I once worked with a business owner whose company brought in millions every month. When I asked how much he had invested outside his business, he shrugged. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to make more. See what's happening there? It's like pouring water into a bucket with a hole. No matter how fast you pour, it won't fill up. Rich people don't earn they earn to use money as fuel, to build freedom. Every dollar has a job. Invest, save, grow. Ever heard this? It's not how much you make, but how much you keep and what you do with what you keep. That clear-headedness in every decision is what creates real wealth. Being mindful during a sale temptation. Being cautious with shady investment offers. Choosing to spend for a moment's pleasure or for the future. I remember a student of mine, Sarah, making around $2,000 a month. She tracked every penny spent, automatically put 10% into an index fund every month. 3 years later, Sarah had over $20,000 saved and invested, while her income barely changed. And the best part? She sleeps peacefully every night. Because no one chasing financial freedom wants to live in daily anxiety. Here's the scary truth. It's not that you haven't earned $100K yet. It's that when you finally do, you might not be ready to keep it. Clear-headedness is a skill, and luckily, it's learnable. Here's a small tip to start today. Every time you spend money, pause for 5 seconds and ask, is this an investment or just a reflex? Every week, spend 15 minutes with your bank statement and ask yourself, am I spending according to my plan or my emotions? Remember this, someone with little but clear-headed can be richer than someone with a lot but reckless. Clear-headedness is wisdom, and wisdom is the most valuable asset in the money game. If you feel ready to start living with financial clarity, comment below, I choose clarity, because wealth doesn't start with a number, it starts with a choice. Rich people don't chase big breakthroughs. They stick to daily financial discipline, bit by bit, day by day. Let me ask you something. Have you ever seen someone suddenly skyrocket to success and thought, wow, they must have just gotten lucky? But here's the real deal. Luck is just the tip of the iceberg. What you don't see is the hundreds of days of persistence, those small, boring, repetitive actions that nobody notices. In finance, breakthroughs are a myth. Discipline is the reality. I remember coaching a guy named Alex. Average income, no startup, no magic investment. Just one habit. Every morning before anything else, he logged into his finance app, recorded every expense from yesterday, reviewed his long-term financial goals. 5 minutes a day. Nothing flashy. But 3 years later, Alex's net worth quadrupled. Why? Because he understood this truth. Wealth doesn't come from one big thing. It comes from doing the small right things over and over. Stanford research backs this up. People with small but consistent financial habits, tracking expenses, automating investments, reading 5 minutes daily about money, end up 2 to 3 times wealthier than their peers with similar income, but no discipline. Rich people aren't in a hurry. They don't wait for life-changing moments. They build leverage through repetition, brewing their own coffee instead of buying it out, reading a 15-minute investment book every night, setting up automatic transfers of just $20 a week into an investment account. I once told a coaching group, if you do the right thing every day, you simply can't stay poor. They laughed. 1 year later, a woman came back to me and said, you were right. I didn't hit the jackpot, but I'm debt-free and feel in control of my life. Think of it like planting a tree. You can't shout at it to bear fruit. You nurture the soil, water it, and wait for the right season. Money's the same. Don't demand get rich quick. Demand do the right thing every day. Start today. Each morning, write down 3 things you'll do to serve your financial future. At night, check if you kept those promises to yourself. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's stronger than any shortcut you've ever known. And in the end, you'll see, it wasn't some giant leap, but 365 small actions today that turned you into your wealthy self. Ready to commit? Drop a comment. I choose small actions every day, because small, consistent steps will take you places leaps never will.